Robin, it's very good to see you. And perhaps just before we begin our conversation, I'll say a little bit, which is to say to stationers and all who are part of this, that the idea of these interviews is simply to get to know a few of our fellow stationers, and it may even allow people who can't normally get to London to the hall, even in normal circumstances, to feel they're taking part.
Yes.
So, Robin, let me start in a rather unusual way by beginning to thank you, not just for coming onto this interview, but also for the lovely gift which you gave me the other day. Perhaps you might want to say something about that.
Well, I'm very privileged to mentor one of the apprentices that we first took on for the Queen's Bindery Apprenticeship Scheme. Helen Esmond is the other mentor for the first intake. And we've met from time to time over lunch. And out of one of those conversations, it emerged that it might be quite a nice idea to give the new master a present which was relevant to the core trades of the company. Silver is very nice to receive, I know, but maybe a book well bound had a little bit more relevance. So that's how it came about. And I recalled a homily that you gave in St. Paul's Cathedral on the occasion of the Norton service, when you spoke at length about Margaret Kemp. And the two ideas sort of came together, and I purchased a copy of that book. And Matt Stockwell, who was the first of our apprentices, designed and executed a binding for it. And I'm glad to know that you liked it.
A lovely present, and I was particularly moved by the fact that it had related to that sermon. I hope I didn't go on at too great a length, but the reason why I chose Margaret Kemp, who people may not know about, she was the wife of a chap who was Mayor of King's Lynn 3 times, I think, in the late 14th, early 15th century.
Certainly, I knew nothing about him until that homily.
And you've now read it, Robin, haven't you?
I have read it, yes.
It gives you an insight into that time?
Oh, certainly, yes. I'm not sure that she would have gone down very well in modern times.
I'm not sure she
was a bit of a pain in the neck, I think.
She was. She had the gift of tears, which made it very difficult, I think, in church services, because it meant screaming throughout. Now, tell me then about our apprentice again.
Well, Matt Stockwell is in his early 20s, and he's the first of the apprentices that we selected for the apprenticeship scheme to work at Windsor Castle. And he's turned out to be something of a star. Certainly everybody who's come across his work has been very impressed. And I asked Philippa Rader, who was then head of the bindery at that time, whether it would be permissible to ask him, and she said yes. And Matt was very willing to make that binding, and you have it. And I see behind you that you might just find room somewhere behind you to shelve it.
Oddly enough, I'm just sitting in almost exactly the right place, because Margaret Kemp and Julian of Norwich, both the same period of time, of course, in the same county, are behind me. But so tell me, and Matt is, I gather, in these rather difficult times, has just been given a new post?
He is now fully employed at the bindery, yes.
And can you say a bit more about the bindery? Is it actually at Windsor Castle?
Yes, it sits in a suite of rooms just below the Queen's Library. It's very impressive. So, some of the stations have been there for a visit, and I know William knows it very well. He'll nod his head. I know he's muted, but yes, a lot of us have been there, and it's very impressive. The work they do is partly to maintain the library, the Queen's Library above.
Yes.
But they also do new work, new bindings for visiting heads of state. Very often, the Queen will present a volume to a visiting head of state, bound in her own bindery, which is rather a nice thing to do.
Amazing. And am I right then in assuming that you came into the stationers because of the bookbinding link?
Yes.
Tell us about when you started doing bookbinding.
Well, when I retired, I'd been fortunate to have enjoyed the work I did. I liked the people I worked with. I liked the clients I looked after. And I was something of a loose end, wondering what on earth I should do with my extra time. And I, for some reason which I can't explain, I remembered that we had, in my stockbroking days, we had put on an exhibition of bindings for one of our clients who owned a bindery in Hungerford. And it was the first time I'd seen modern fine binding. And it just occurred to me to wonder what was involved. And I took myself off on a few courses to just see how it was done and what was involved in doing it. And much to my surprise, I found I was reasonably competent. Not good, I have to say, but competent.
Oh, if I may say, you are very, very competent. And I'd go as far as saying good, having at least had one particular thing, a Bible, which was in a rather ragged state, rebound by you. So what made you then think you might join the stationers company?
Well, one thing leads to another, doesn't it? A member of my wider family approached me at a party one Sunday lunchtime, and she said, I hear you're bookbinding. So I said, yes, that's true. And she said, well, why don't you join the stationers? This was Mary Shelbourne, who you might have come across.
Yeah.
She was calligrapher for the company. And I said, well, I don't think so. I mean, I've been a freeman of the city since my mid-20s, but I had never thought of joining a company. But she was very insistent and said that bookbinding was certainly a core trade of the company. And I heard myself saying, well, thank you very much. Yes, I'd like to join. And the tragedy was that having put in my application, she then fell very ill with leukemia, and she died within about 3 months. But I was fortunate. There were two people I had known since my mid-teens. One was Frank Chappell, the other Alan Brooker, both of whom became aware of the application and kindly gave it a shove.
How long ago was this, Robin?
Well, I joined in 2011.
Right.
So a little while ago, but I'm a very junior member of the company compared with some other 60 membership.
But I think nonetheless, the fact that you've been so enthusiastic about bookbinding and so on in your retirement has actually brought this a little bit more to centre stage with the stationers, you and Helen together.
That may be the case, yes. I can't see the point of joining anything if you don't take an active part in it. So that's really one of the reasons I've tried to be involved in the work of the stationers. I've joined a couple of committees. And
yes, and tell us which committees you've been on.
Well, I've been on your committee.
The Hall and Heritage Committee, as it was, yes.
Yes. And I think I'm still on your fundraising committee.
Fundraising committee, yes, that's right. Yes.
I've recently invited to join the investment review committee as well.
That's a marvellous bringing together of your skills as a stockbroker and more recently as a bookbinder. But I think we're truly grateful to you because I think that bookbinding is not something that necessarily would be centre stage, not like publishing, journalism, or printing. And you've certainly helped us to do that, and particularly with the link with the bindery. So, Robin, thank you so much, and thank you very much indeed for being prepared to be the first in this series of interviews.
It's all been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much.